So today we're setting up an enclosure for 2 baby box turtles. Now, before we get started, I just want to say, some people may say tanks aren't very good. Personally, for me though, I think tanks are great for baby box turtles. They hold humidity so much better than an open homemade wooden enclosure. But a lot of people get confused because they say can't have glass barriers because they will get stressed and see through it. Simply put some brown construction paper around the tank so they can't see through it and you're good. We're going to go over the supplies we have today. We have just some decorations. You got a cork flat here, really cool little piece of wood, and a few more hides. Then we have, for our substrate, we have some plantation soil, and we have this earth grow topsoil right here. We also have some sphagnum peat moss, which we're going to be mixing with the topsoil. So let's go ahead and get started with laying the soil. Alright, so let's get some of this topsoil in there. Alright. I am going to be making the soil pretty deep because these box turtles are only a day old, so when they're that young they like to live underground, and I want to have plenty of space to make little caves and stuff for them to go in. So the reason why we're using organic topsoil is just has like a base layer, super cheap, and I highly recommend using it because I know EcoEarth topsoil, EcoEarth plantation soil can get a little expensive. So if you want to have a little bit more substrate, you can put this down first, then put your EcoEarth or plantation soil on top of it. So just kind of breaking up the big chunks right now, and we are going to be mixing the peat moss with this. It's going to be a 50-50 mix, and I highly recommend this brand as well because it's an organic brand and there's no harmful chemicals or anything in it. There will be from time to time little pieces of plastic like this, little plastic pieces here, but it's not really important. Just kind of get those out, not that big of a deal. But let's go ahead and get the peat moss. So we have our peat moss, this bucket here, straight from the bag. What we're going to do is it's really dusty when you first put it in when it's dry. This adds a layer of humidity to the soil. These two go together like bread and butter, I guess. If you have one, I highly suggest you have the other when it comes to the topsoil and this peat moss. You want to mix it up really well. This, because if you miss the topsoil, it'll just turn into mud. The peat moss holds the moisture, and the topsoil is just kind of like a base layer, so it's sturdy ground. You could just use this as your soil, but personally I just like the EcoEarth plantation soil. That kind of coconut substrate, and I like it because it's digestible, and since they're babies they're going to be eating little bugs that they can find in here, and they're going to be picking up some soil from time to time, so you don't want anything that can impact them like sand or gravel or mud or anything like that. So these big chunks, you can break these down if you want. Personally, I just leave them in there because they just kind of break down after a while on their own. But mix it up real well, and then when you're done mixing it, you want to grab your spray bottle. Here we go. Spray it down real good. That'll help settle the dust, the initial dust, and it'll help it just kind of become one with the soil. So when you're done spraying it, you can mix it up again. You have to get your hands dirty on this one. But yeah. Next up is the Plantation Soil. EcoWorth is the exact same thing. Personally, I found that Plantation Soil is a little bit dustier and has longer strands of fiber, but it's basically the exact same thing. And Plantation Soil tends to be a little cheaper. So this was actually sent to me by a viewer. Here, your Plantation Soil is being used for the little baby box turtles. So have a bucket of water right here. Gonna cut this open here. There we go. And throw in a brick or two. Plantation Soil is finally done absorbing all that water. We're gonna dump it in here. Then after this, we can kind of set it up. I have some New Zealand sphagnum moss that we can use as well. Now normally, we want to kind of squeeze it out, all the excess water. But since the box turtles won't even be in here for a few days, it's alright. I am going to squeeze out some of it though. This was one brick of EcoEarth. Might have to throw in another one. But yeah. Another thing about Plantation Soil, I think it dries out faster. So it might be worth just to go ahead and get the Zoom at EcoEarth. But Plantation Soil is cheaper, and all I gotta do is just mist it down every day and it'll be fine. So here's the, I guess you could call it terrarium right now. As you can see, we got our layers. We have our topsoil and sphagnum moss peat soil mix, and then we have our Plantation Soil right at the top. And in the bucket we have this Zoomed, so get the box, New Zealand sphagnum moss. Highly recommend it. This is going to be in their Humidity, help them get that nice smooth growth that you want on box turtles. And this will go into, like I said, their Humidity. But today, right now, at this moment, we are going to be setting this up, and this is the best part. So do a time lapse of the setup, and then I'll do a nice thorough little bit of their entire enclosure. So here's the finished product. As you can see, I think it looks pretty nice. The stupid watermark here. I was a little lazy, and when I moved the musk turtles out of here, I may have left the water in there for a few days. So, but that'll come right off with some vinegar. I'll worry about that later. I am going to be putting some cardstock or construction paper around the tank here so they can't see out. But it'll be a few days before they can get in here, so I just want this to kind of get established first. Now there's the leaves in here. I collected these leaves from outside, and there's an entire colony of pill bugs, aka roly-polies. This is a staple in their diet when they're that young, just because when they're this young, they live basically underground. They're under leaves, logs, plants, and they eat anything they can find that has protein. So they're eating stuff like pill bugs, little tiny centipedes, maybe ants. I would never feed them ants, but they are looking for protein. Now these guys will get soaked every day, and as they're in the little soaker tub that they're going to be in, there'll also be some aquatic turtle food in there for them to eat if they wanted to. But it could be upwards to a month before they even start eating, just because of that yolk sac. But here's the finished product. I think it looks pretty good. Over here is their Humidity. I got one of those Walmart like basking lamps, or not lamps, I'm sorry, basking docks. It like goes in the corner, and then there's a little cave underneath. There's jam-packed full of sphagnum moss in there, and as you can see, sphagnum moss all around. So if they wanted to hide in the sphagnum moss, we have a cork log right here. That's kind of buried. It's pretty dry in there, so that's just going to be a little drier hut. Then under here, they have another humid hide as well as their stuff in there. But this is going to be their water bowl. I'm going to move the heat lamp somewhere so it's more facing this area here rather than directly on their water bowl. And they have a really nice Reptisun T5HO terrarium hood UVB. It's a 5.0 UVB. And there it is. This was sent to me by a viewer as well. So here your stuff are being used for the baby box turtles. So it's on here pretty well. I kind of had this ghetto hanger thing. I didn't want it sitting on this. So yeah, this is the tank. And in a few days, we'll put the box turtles in. But until the little baby box turtles are ready to be in their brand new tank, I'm just going to let it sit here, kind of let the isopods get established, let the plants root in and everything just start flowing naturally. I'm actually already starting to monitor the humidity and the temperature. Right now it's exactly 80% humidity and 78.1 degrees, which is just about perfect, right in the middle of the tank there. I hope you guys learned something and could set up a really nice enclosure for your baby box turtles. If you want to help support the channel, make sure to check in the description below and check out the links to the Amazon wish list where you can buy for the aquatic turtles, the box turtles, or the tortoises, or just send something to the P.O. box just for kicks and giggles. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a great day.